This is a curly hair drawing exercise. Whenever I do an exercise, it's almost like I'm working out in the gym. I'm just trying to flex my artistic muscles. I'm trying to build and continually add to how I see things, how I draw things, how I blend things. And in this case, I'm trying to figure out the best way to try to show you how to draw hair. So I start my sketch with an HB pencil. I try to keep it light, but I also have to think about keeping it visible. So for me, sometimes doing an exercise is not just for me. So I have to think a little bit differently and draw a little bit differently, which lends me to sometimes work a little off from how I would if I were just working in my own space. But with that being said, the idea here is to build up the layers. So I'm constantly going around with my number 2 B pencil, and I'm adding some of the darker values, as well as I sometimes incorporate the 4B and or 6B to make them even darker. Because when it comes to the hair, I'm trying to get all the fine lines without having to mimic each and every one of them. But I need enough of them, as I always say, to just be enough. So with this drawing, I'm more interested in the values than I am the very specifics. And while my drawing is in somewhat detail, I'm not even concerned with the drawing coming out 100% like the reference. The reference is that, a reference. But I'm using it as close to it as I can to get from it as much as I can. So in going around now, I'm using the 2H pencil. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to show you how to get the fine hairs. And if I were going to spend 10, 15 hours on this, then I would probably painstakingly go through it with multiple layers from the 2H pencil, making grooves in the paper and so forth. But I decided to jump to my dark, which I've blended down the edges, sanding it down, and I'm using that to scratch in lines in the direction that the hair is flowing. Then I go back with either my 2H pencil or an HB pencil to add some tonal value, and then I go in with a 2B pencil, 4B pencil, or even a 6B pencil to put in the deeper values. So it's a building process. So here you see that every now and then the darker pencils are not just blackened everywhere. They're in very specific areas where the reference is showing the dark values. But then where I've made the scratches, the darker values show you where the lines were. And this helps build the picture. And I don't scratch every single line before I draw. I try to work in sections or groups. Now the paper that I'm working on is only a 5x7 Stonehenge paper, and I'm using Caran d'Ache pencils for this particular project. And what I'm trying to do again is to just capture the essence of curly hair, using the reference, using my pencils, and using my dark to help me accentuate the lines. So as you can see, it's just a slow buildup. It still took me roughly an hour and some change just to draw this. But this is an exercise. This is not me trying to make a drawing. So I tried my best to emphasize where the lines were, where the darks were, where the lights were, and then I peel it away, and here is the end product. See, and then I show you a darker version of it. And that's it.